All right, well, good morning or afternoon or evening, depending on what time you are tuning in here. Today we are going to be going over LinkedIn, which is basically a networking site for professionals. The thing with LinkedIn, though, is over time it has had several different variations to it. So LinkedIn started out as a place for professionals to connect and talk about how awesome they are. Then someone had the idea maybe we should make it more like Facebook. So they've added, a news feed and wishing people happy birthday and different pictures and things like that. Well, that was phase 2. Phase 3 was, well, let's make it a recruiting website. We have all these people on here and their contact information. Let's provide tools for recruiters to be able to connect with individuals within that field. And then finally, where we're at now, since Microsoft has taken over, is that it is more of a job searching site. And if you've seen any of the LinkedIn commercials on television, right now they're pushing very hard to try to take a bite out of Indeed's apple or meal, whatever you want to call it, but they are trying to get into the actual job search site, and they've added a lot of really good features to help you do that. But being that this is a PowerPoint presentation, we always have to start with some statistics and numbers. Statistics. So the reason why I started talking about LinkedIn is because of what is called the hidden job market. The hidden job market are jobs that are currently available but aren't readily advertised, that any person off the street could just find unless they knew where to look. Basically what happens is, you remember if you watch my resume video, is that employers get between 50 and 200 applications per position. They don't have that much time to be going through that many applications, especially when a lot of them don't meet minimum qualifications. So they move stuff out of, Indeed or Career Builder or wherever they may have it, and they look for places where they get a more dedicated, concentrated pool of talent. And that would be things like career fairs, just coming out and directly advertising positions, using things like the Wildcat Career Network. If you're not familiar with the Wildcat Career Network, that is our one-stop shop for all things career related here on campus. There are jobs, there's information about what's going on and career related events. If you've not set up your account yet, I would highly recommend doing it, but they can go to career fairs, they can post things directly to students, they can go to industry specific sites. So pretty much just about every industry and offshoot of said industries can be found within their own private networking groups. So if you are a member of the human resources, you can go and join the SHRM or SHRM. Once you are a member, you will have access to the SHRM job board, and all of those positions are pretty curated specifically for individuals looking for human resources jobs. You have AMA for marketing students, etc., etc. And then the last one is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is great because, number one, most of the people who are on there and are active on the site are generally very active, proactive young professionals or professionals who are looking to stay involved. And they can really narrow down who they are going to advertise positions to. LinkedIn has two different types of jobs. You're going to see a general open job board that has basically public positions. And then within individual private groups, which you have to gain access to, there will be job boards in those as well, where people can post positions to, let's say, a specific human resources or just to mix it up, supply chain management group. So you could go to the supply chain management group. You will have to get accepted into that group, but once you're in there, they will have their own private discussions. They'll have their own private job board. Again, it's just a way of identifying candidates and grouping them together so that you're not just shotgunning opportunities out to the entire world. But LinkedIn is very important. 93% of people are going to use LinkedIn to search for candidates, and I would say it's probably closer to 100% now that people are going to look at your LinkedIn profile during the hiring process. for a number of reasons, to make sure your information lines up with what you've submitted. Also, just to get a better and more well-rounded view of who you are as a person, as a professional. On LinkedIn, unlike on your resume where you generally get 30 to 45 seconds to get someone's attention, on LinkedIn the average is about 6 seconds to gain someone's attention. The thing with LinkedIn is everything works off of search engine optimization. So they have their own algorithm. So whether you are searching for jobs or if you're a recruiter searching for candidates, you put in your key terms and it will basically search everyone on LinkedIn to give them the best results. And you have a lot of people on LinkedIn, so you have a very, very short period of time to get someone's attention. Basically within that 6 seconds, about 2 to 3 of them, almost half of the time spent, is going to be on your profile picture. So if you do not have a good LinkedIn profile picture, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot right off the bat. And when I say good LinkedIn profile picture, it should be something professional, where either it is yourself at work or yourself individually, dressed up in a suit and tie or professional attire, whatever that may be. But you don't want to have like a group shot where it's like, where's Waldo? Which one of these people is actually the person that I'm reading their information about? Or like a Lion King picture holding up somebody's random baby. I see all sorts of weird LinkedIn pictures, but honestly, the best thing you can do is to have a nice, boring, clean, professional picture. All of that being said, let's take a look at what people are considering, or what recruiters are considering, or looking at when you are looking at someone's profile. The reason why you want to take a look at what they're looking at is so that when you're building the profile, you can make sure that it is tailored towards them. And things you want to consider: you need to keep it simple. You need to make sure it's organized. Now, LinkedIn used to be a mess, almost to the level of MySpace, where things could go anywhere and just about everything was doable. In the past 2 years, it has gotten a lot more locked down. It's not quite a completely walled-in community, but they do not let you just put things randomly on your profile wherever you want. They've come up with a standardized way of things to keep things organized and keep it read, or make it easier to read, and that's just what you go off of. So all of the time that they're not looking at your picture, they're looking at just about everything else. They're going to look at your name, they're going to look at your current title, they're going to look at your previous title, they may look at job start and end dates, your education, and as always, screening and scanning and looking for keywords. Keywords are so important on LinkedIn just because everything is so search engine optimized. So when people look at profiles, this is a heat map, so they can record where people's eyes look and or where people's mouses go. So you can see the first thing they're going to do is look at your profile picture. The second most important thing is going to be your summary, which is your explanation, kind of like who you are and what you're looking for. They're going to go down and take a look at what positions you've recently held. We are very, very, very easily distracted, so then you're going to bounce over and take a look at your education section. Bounce over and take a look at some random ads, and then finally come back and look at your education. So there's a lot going on there in a very, very short period of time. The attributes that they are looking for, and I will say these in no particular order, but the description of your job, the photo, the summary statement is definitely key. Making sure your keywords, and then last but not least is engagement, and this is something that's come up recently. It's not enough just to have a LinkedIn account. It's great that you have it, but they don't want you to have just some static LinkedIn account that you created 5 years ago and you've never updated. They want to see that you've constantly updated and kept your profile fresh, that you're engaged and involved in different groups, you're following companies, you're actually posting things. You actually have to use the site in order to help yourself gain more attention. So when you're creating your profile, here are the things that you need to do, or the absolute minimum you want to have done in order to have your profile set up. And number one is professional picture. I think I've said that enough. The headline. By default, it's just going to take whatever you're currently doing and make that your headline. You want to change that immediately. You don't want it to say student at Central Washington University, because it's obviously generic. It's not going to help you out. What you want your headline to be is almost like what you would have as an objective statement on your resume. The objective would be, senior accounting student looking for internship opportunities for the summer of 2019. Or whatever it might be. You just don't want to have the super generic one there. The summary, super important. The summary is basically you in a nutshell. You want it to be a very, very quick overview of all of your skills, all of your certifications, what your interests are and where you are in your field, but you don't want it to just be like a long essay on yourself. You want to keep it short, you want to keep it narrative, and you want to keep it very, very keyword heavy. Then you're going to go down and fill out your experience section. You want to have at least 3 industry specific skills. You're going to fill out your education section completely, including projects, research, and classes you've taken. The magic number for LinkedIn, because LinkedIn works on the principle of the 6 degrees of separation, is to get at least 30 individuals connected to you. Once you connect to at least 30 individuals, it opens up other options for you to further improve and utilize the site and work on your profile. You want to get recommendations, you want to give recommendations, you want to make sure you're listing all of your volunteer experiences, you're joining groups, and you complete your resume to 100% all-star level. And we're actually going to take a look at that here in real time, at least during the recording in real time, to give you a better idea of how to set all of these things up. So with all of that going into it, we're going to take a dive into my LinkedIn profile. We're going to go through how to find things, how the profile is set up, ways to edit it, and to get yourself going with LinkedIn. So with all of that being said, I'm going to jump out of the slideshow and we are going to jump into LinkedIn. So if we go over here to my LinkedIn profile, you will see just basically everything as I said before. You're going to have a brief little snapshot of yourself up here in the left corner. It's going to tell you how many people have viewed your profile. There is no sneaking around on LinkedIn. If you go and look at someone's profile, it's going to send them a notification saying this person's looked at your profile. Now you can go into anonymous mode if you would like to. Just be aware that when you're in anonymous mode, it will not tell you who's viewed your profile. And if you do go back to public mode, it's going to alert everyone all at once that you've been viewing their profiles. So just a couple things you want to keep in mind as you're going through. You can see how many connections you have. I'm at 1,040. I don't expect you to get to that level anytime soon. But again, you need to get to at least that magic number of 30. Also with this, you want to take a look at basically just connecting to as many people as possible. I refer to this as Pokemon LinkedIn, where you just want to catch them all. As long as it doesn't look like it is something that is shady or someone who might not be a real person, take a look at their profile. But if they've invited you to connect, I generally connect with people. You want to connect with family, friends, people you've worked with, roommates, as many people as you want to, because the more connections you get, the smaller the world becomes in LinkedIn. So the other thing down here, don't buy their premium. It really only gives you very limited additional options, but I know a lot of people do it. If you're like a hardcore recruiter and you're going to be going in looking at a lot of profiles, premium is probably good, but your employer is probably going to pay for it anyway, so there's really not much reason for you to do it. So you're going to have your little brief introduction over here on the left. You can see what's trending and what you've recently followed over here as well. On the right hand side, you have news stories. You have different feeds that you can add in, and then right down the middle is your news feed like you'd see it on any other basically social media network. But this is going to be populated with stories that people have shared or reshared from others. A great way to keep up on what's going on in the world of work. It generally will become a little bit more curated towards what your major is as you are adding people in, because it will be similar to what you're doing. So that is just the basic layout. You'll see up top here you have the search, which we're going to go into. You have a couple features across the top, and then you have this work little button here that we're going to go into. But I think first let's just start with my profile. We're going to take a look at how I have things set up, hopefully give you some tips on how to set up yours. So you'll notice right off the bat I have my professional picture. It is not like a super professional picture, but it's me in attire. There's nothing crazy going on behind me. It's pretty relaxed and laid back. I've added in the cover photo. Mine is just of Central Washington University because that's where I work, but you're free to add in whatever you'd like to. I would just make sure you keep it professional and relevant to what you do. With this is considered your introduction of your profile, and if you click on the little pen, that will always give you edit options, but this will go in and allow you to change your photos, to change your name, to change your headline, which I talked about earlier. You just want to update it so it doesn't say student at Central Washington University. You can have it show your education in your intro if you'd like, to show where you're getting your degrees from. Obviously, you're going to put in all of your industry information as well. But that will give you at least just the basic stuff. And then also the first tip I always give people once they've set up is to go over here to the Edit Public Profile and URL button, which is going to give you the ability to see what your current LinkedIn address is and to change it, assuming that there's something available. Now, I've been rocking LinkedIn J Pfeiffer for probably over a decade now, so I don't think I'll be giving that up. But as a new user, you're going to find that it has your name and then a long line of letters and numbers after it that you're going to want to get rid of. If you can find it, if it's still available, grab your name, first name dot last name, and fill that in there. But it's going to make it a lot easier, especially if you're going to be putting it on your resume, to have just a normal LinkedIn J Pfeiffer address instead of just some long letters and numbers combination. So that will allow you to go in there and edit it, and then we're just going to go back to the profile. But you can see here it also, this is the education that pops up. Here is the summary. Now the summary, again, short, concise. It's almost like a very, very short cover letter. But it's going to be talking about yourself professionally, not personally, and you want to get as many of those buzzwords in there as possible. I have about 3 lines, 2 or 3 lines here in my summary, and I have over 20 words that are keywords within my field. Now you don't want it to just say supply chain management, supply chain management, supply chain management, supply chain management, because that's going to help move you up in the ranks in terms of getting noticed, but it's also going to make you look like a crazy person. So you're going to try to want to avoid doing that. Underneath the About section, you're going to have what's called the dashboard. Now in the dashboard, you'll see I no longer have a status bar because I have reached All-Star status, which is ultimately your goal. In order to reach All-Star status, there's going to be a bar here that's going to tell you what you need to do in order to get your profile higher up in the rankings. It'll say you need to add experience or education, or you're missing something, or you need to connect to more people. But it will give you a very, very clear explanation of why you are not an All-Star. Also down here you have career advice, so if you would like to be contacted by other people who are looking for career advice, you can turn that on. Career interest lets people know you're actually looking for jobs. If you are using LinkedIn as a job search tool, you need to go in here and actually turn this on. And when you go in and turn it on, that will alert recruiters that you are currently searching for positions. Then you can set where you are in your search. You can put in the geographic areas you would like to search in. What time of work are you looking for, and then based off of that, it will actually, not only will it alert recruiters and you'll start receiving more opportunities, you're also going to get different opportunities within your job search sent to you. So you can actually set up job, I guess what the proper term would be job search tools or bots. And you can set those up just based off of the information you put in here and the information you put in off of your search. So make sure if you are looking for opportunities, you actually go in and turn this on and fill out all the information. It does help. So swinging back through, the last one on here is Salary Insights. This is an awesome tool. There are salary tools out there like salary.com and Glassdoor, but they are basically working off of a very, very small number of people who have found those sites and want to go and put their information in there. And generally, when you have something that specific, you're going to get more negative information than positive. The cool thing about LinkedIn is that just about everyone is on it, and anyone who wants to get information on salaries needs to put theirs in first. If you don't have any experience, you probably don't have anything to put in, but if you have worked in the past, you can go in and put in your information. It will tell you if you know you're underpaid or overpaid for your area, where else you might want to work. But this is already set up with my information, but if you want to look at basically what I use this for is when students are getting offers for positions, you can go in and look and see if it's a good offer. What are people generally getting offered in here or making in this range? And that will also be so that you can set it up, if you're a new professional, if you want to look at different fields, you can put all of that information in and get really, really dialed in results because they're using the information provided by the billions of members of LinkedIn. So just know that that is there. You may not need it yet, but it is an incredibly helpful tool. So going back, you will see basically activity and followers. I just got the last 2 articles that I've posted. And then these are going to be set in order. You can no longer change them, but it's going to be experience, education, and then everything else. Now with experience, you are not limited to 1 page. So you want to treat this almost like a government application. If you don't know what that means, on government applications, they generally want you to list everything you've done forever. And how much you got paid and who you worked for and how long you were there and how to contact those people. And since there's no page limit in LinkedIn, people come here because they can get a lot more information than they normally would out of a 1-page resume. So you want to make sure you're filling this stuff in as good and as completely as possible. Not just for the all-star status, but to make yourself more of an ideal candidate for recruiters. And I've got contacted and taken positions off LinkedIn. It does happen. You can have all your stuff set up and have your job search turned to yes, let recruiters know. And that's basically what we call a passive job search, where you're just putting it out there that you're interested and you're waiting to see what comes back to you. So that's always really nice when you get a job offer or an interview offer and you haven't actually even applied yet. It makes things a lot easier. So you're going to go through here your profile. Again, you're setting it up with as much information as possible. Now with the experience section, what I do is I take all of the bullet points off of my resume, and when you go into edit experience, I just put in the title that's on my resume, obviously the company and the location, your current dates that you've worked there, and then I copy and paste all the bullets from my resume into my description. Other things you can do with LinkedIn, if you have presentations or things that you've been involved in that you would want to attach to this experience, you can always upload PowerPoints or YouTube videos or anything you may have on there. But that will always stay with it, so when people go to look at your experience, they will see not only what you did in your words, but you can also have a pretty nice multimedia experience to give people a more full description of your skills, talents, and experience. And the last thing you'll see down here on the bottom is share with network. Please make sure that's turned off, or every time you change anything on your profile, it's going to update everyone you know, and that gets old pretty quickly. So you can go in here and you can do your experience. You can add as many experiences as you want. You can go back through high school. It doesn't matter. You want to fill everything out as completely as possible because, again, when people go in and do their searches, first it is going to look at your summary, and then it's going to come down and start pulling keywords out of these experiences. So the more keywords you get, the higher on recruiters' lists you're going to appear, and the higher possibility is that you're going to actually gain a position with them. So not like a resume, doesn't have to just be specific to college. You just want to make sure you fill it out and fill it out completely. Same thing with education section. Now here you can actually move the education around. So if you're someone who did a DTA and that's showing up as first, you could always move that down and then move your Central Washington up to the top so people can see your degree that you're actually looking for first. And again, anytime you want to edit these, you're going to go in and hit the pen. You're going to complete what you've done. You can add your GPA in. You can add in different activities and societies, research you've done, and again, different multimedia formats. So you can go in and do that with every educational experience if you'd like. Also, licenses and certifications, especially if you're going to be, if you're an accounting student, you have CPA, or if you're supply chain and you have Lean Six Sigma, you'd want to make sure you fill that out. Also volunteer experience. Again, you're populating this with as much information as possible so that you have the most robust profile you can, and employers do really appreciate seeing volunteer experience. Down here under skills and endorsements, this is going to be any skill you think you have, or that, let's say it this way, any skill you can prove you have. Don't just go putting random skills in here, but you want to put in soft skills, you want to put in hard skills, you want to put in specialized technical skills. You want to fill this in as completely as possible. You can see from my profile, you know, my biggest ones are in career development, resume writing, and academic advising, but I have both put in and been recommended by others for all of these different skills. And these just all will come back again as people are looking for candidates to prove that you have the skills they're looking for. So that is skills and recommendation. Recommendations is actually letters of recommendation. These are a little bit harder to get. The easiest way to get them is to give them. I personally get them kind of randomly from other coworkers and from students over time. But with these, you have a letter of recommendation that is directly linked to someone else's account, so they can go and read the letter of recommendation and then take a look at what those people do and get a better sense of who you are. Again, with a resume, you're giving them a quick one-page glimpse of who you are as a professional, but with LinkedIn, they are getting everything. They get more of you as a person, more of you as a professional, better look at your skills, and also have testimonials right here on your page from other people. So can't really go wrong. The best way to get them is, again, to give them and hope that they reciprocate. The same thing kind of goes with these skills. If you recommend people for skills, you will find that they will recommend you back generally as well. It's, you know, just like anything in life, you have to give a little to get something. So you have that as well. Over here you have accomplishments and organizations you belong to. So if you belong to any professional organizations, you could put those in, as well with your honors and awards. And then the last thing you will see down here at the very, very bottom is interest. Now, some people might think interest is, you know, just I'm interested in working on cars, or I'm interested in this. Not really the case here on LinkedIn. With interest, you have 4 different possibilities. You have influencers, like here I have Bill Gates and like Conan O'Brien and random people I follow. You have companies, and if there is a company you want to work for, you have to follow them. Like, no questions asked there. It's just something you have to do. Because companies will go and look at your profile and see if you're following them. The other thing with when you're following companies is it's going to give you information that maybe isn't going out to the general population. So it might be a story about something Boeing's doing in the community, and when you get to the interview section of the process, those little stories are going to help you tremendously to connect with the people you're interviewing with. So the third one are these private groups. You can see here I have several Central Washington groups. Groups, again, are private organizations. You have to be accepted into them. But once you are in, there is all sorts of fun stuff you can do in here. There are jobs within groups. There are discussion boards within groups. And a lot of opportunities to network within groups. So make sure you are getting involved in groups. It might take time to get invited to them. But if you are having trouble, it will tell you right over here who are the admins, like this handsome gentleman. you can always reach out to them and say, I've been trying to get into your group, can you please accept me? And generally the admin will get a message that says this person would like to join your group. They're going to look at your profile. Obviously, if you have none of the qualifications that group is looking for, they're just going to say no, but hopefully they will give you quick entrance so you can go in and start utilizing them. Last but not least, I think, is schools, and schools is just schools you'd want to follow. If you're looking to get a master's degree, I'd probably follow that school. Also, by following these universities, it also will get you invited to other groups. So just make sure you're involved in the groups, you're following companies you're interested in working for, and then you're also following the schools where you've come from. So that is the general layout of the profile. I know it's very exciting, but you want to get as much stuff in here as you can. You want to connect as many people as you can, and you want to make sure you have your full profile cleared out. Also, you can look at this add profile section. So if there is a section where you can see you have not added anything yet, it will tell you you need to actually go in there and do that. So get your profile up to all-star level, get yourself 30 connections, get everything completed, and then you can actually start utilizing LinkedIn for lots of other fun things. The first one is networking. So I will often go in here, and let's say I am working on accounting and recruiting. I can just go in and type in the keyword accountant, and I'm going to look for accountant and people, and that's going to bring up everyone who is an accountant on LinkedIn, which is almost 6 million. Obviously that is entirely too many, but up here on the top you have filters. So what I would generally like to do is go in and see, is there a company that they're currently working for that I'm interested in. And to keep things easy, I will use Moss Adams, the accounting firm here, and I will hit apply. So now there's 1,085 people who work at Moss Adams currently. You can then further out go and look at where did they go to school. So this will give you all 35 people who went to Central Washington University and currently working at Moss Adams. So if you want to learn more about their firm, if you want to try to connect people there, if you want to try to find some human resources, you can go in and start connecting with these people and hopefully build some sort of professional relationship or conversation to talk about where you're from and what you're trying to do. And in my experience in over 10 years of career development, people who are alums always want to help out students. So these are going to be your best way forward in connecting with people there and trying to get in the door. So don't again look away from the search button, but it is very, very helpful. The search will allow you to search for groups, it'll allow you to search for people, it'll allow you to search for jobs. It used to be a little bit of a convoluted mess, but now you just type in the keyword and it automatically lets you select what you want to search for. So that is a way you can network, just using key terms, and again, those people will hopefully have profiles that are built up that will help you, again, maybe get a little bit more insight on how you'd want to build your profile to work in that field. So that is the search bar. Up across the top you have the home button, which obviously takes you home. You have your network, which will show you all of the people you're currently networked with. You have jobs, which is the job board. So with the job board, again, you can set up different stuff up here like we saw on the front page if you want to track jobs, fill in your career interests, or look at salaries now. But let's just say you want to be in accountant in, let's go, Greater Seattle area. This will pull up all 1,067 current accounting jobs in Seattle. And again, if you want, you can save this as a job alert, and you can go in and you can set up filters to find jobs that are more in specific areas. If you only want to look for an internship or an entry-level position, you can select those. A lot of these jobs now are going to have the LinkedIn Easy Apply, so you can just actually apply with your LinkedIn profile, which is great. It's going to give them a much better impression of who you are, assuming your LinkedIn profile is filled out completely. but it also gets you away from having to go through all of those websites where you have to upload your resume, copy and paste your resume, go back and forth. So you can go in here and search jobs as well. I would also just like to point out really quick, when you're looking at your profile, it is a good idea, if you want to upload your resume as part of your introduction. I would just recommend taking off all of your identifying information. So don't leave your address, your phone number on there. If you want to just leave your name and your email, that's great. The other thing you can do is actually you can run off your resume out of here. So if I go to me, or I'm sorry, if I go to more, I can actually send my resume to people. So if there's someone I just want to share it to, or you can actually download it as a PDF and it will turn it into a nice looking little CV for you. And while it isn't the greatest format for a resume, you can see it's turned this guy, all of the information I've put into my profile, into a giant 5-page CV. So that is also very, very helpful. So other things up here other than the jobs, obviously there's messaging boards, and then over here on the right side, excuse me, you have this work button. And under the work button is other products. There's learning, so if you want to do like a quick webinar and learn a skill, you can do that. You can look at insights, you can post jobs, advertise, you can work on slideshows with other people. But the two that I like to point out are the salary and the groups. That's your direct link if you're looking for a specific group or if you're trying to find out information on salaries. And again, with groups, you can always create a group, or you could just search groups. You can see what groups that you've already requested in. Oh, doesn't look like they want me. But anywho, that is the basic layout of the LinkedIn profile, how to use the most essential tools within it. For more advanced stuff, there are plenty of articles online. I really enjoy a website called Lifehacker. Has a lot of great tips and tricks for LinkedIn. And if you have any questions, you can always contact your career services professionals. So that is my spiel today on LinkedIn. Thank you for sticking with me. I know this was a little long-winded, but I hope it was informational and maybe possibly even entertaining.